Happy Fri-YAY, friends! Today we're gonna make a fun card for St. Patrick's Day. I love to send cards for all occasions, and that includes every single month has something fun to celebrate, right? We've got the New Year, then we've got Valentine's, we've got St. Patrick's and Easter, we've got spring and summer, 4th of July, we've got the fall, right? We've got Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the things. So there is always something to celebrate. So I have been making St. Patty's Day cards just because it's fun to send a happy mail and brighten someone's day, just because, right? And since there's always a reason, let's start creating. So I've got a fun couple of stamp sets to share with you today with the St. Patty's Day theme. Got my St. Patty's Day green on, and we're gonna do some heat embossing because what goes hand in hand with St. Patty's Day is gold, right? So we want to liven up our cards with some heat embossing. So let's get started. Here are the two sets we're gonna be using today. The Good Luck stamp set, which is absolutely St. Patty's Day themed, right? With the pot of gold and our 4-leaf clover and all kinds of things, right? Lots of luck in that set. And then one of my very favorite go-to sets right now is Reason to Celebrate. And you'll see it's full of sentiments that are perfect for every occasion. I mean, you could probably use just this stamp set for the entire year because, like I said, there's always a reason to celebrate, right? So we've got Another Wonderful Year, Better Together, Love You, What a Party, Anniversary, Graduation, St. Patty's Day, we'll be using that today. Valentine's, Easter, Birthday, Congratulations. I mean, this will cover so many of your occasions over the year. So it is definitely on the top of my list of must-haves. Well, let me show you today's card. So it's Happy St. Patrick's Day, right? And we've got our lucky pot of gold, right? And our Shy Shamrock, which is so perfect with this, along with some Secret Sea and of course white. And then we've got the inside of our card. So let's get started and get this put together, do some heat embossing and have some St. Patty's fun, right? So I've got a card base here. I've already cut it. One thing that I wanted to make sure and mention is my website, stampingqueenbee.com. On my blog on there, you can find always past videos, and I love to include the free PDF download for you on there so that you never miss anything and you don't have to worry about writing it all down during the video. So you can find all of that on here. If you're part of my weekly Buzz Bulletin, which is my weekly email that I send out, it's totally free, you actually get that PDF in your inbox before it goes on to the blog, and you get the first dibs at downloading that, right? So it's got a printable PDF that you can download, print, and it's got pictures and all the instructions. So we've got our card base. So this is just a half sheet of 8.5 by 11, and we've just scored it and cut it in half. And then this way it opens vertically. So just kind of a fun, different way to cut your paper and have a little extra, right? Then I've got some parts and pieces here. So I've got some DSP that I've already cut for us in that Shy Shamrock. So this comes from our 2024-2026 in color 6x6 assortment of designer series paper, or we like to call it DSP for short. So this is this Shy Shamrock piece. It's just beautiful. And I kind of loved these florals. They, I don't know, sort of look like clovers, right? When you put them on a St. Patty's card. And the Shy Shamrock ink color is the perfect addition for St. Patty's Day. So these colors and this DSP will be retiring soon. So if you love these colors as much as I do, you want to make sure and stock up before they are gone because they're going to retire very soon, including this lovely Shy Shamrock. So this is definitely going to be my go-to color every March for sure. Okay, so that's the DSP that we're going to be using, and I've already cut that down for us just to save us some time, right? And then I also went ahead and took some basic white and cut it down, and it's going to be the piece that we put right here. Now you'll see this is embossed with one of my favorite embossing folders. You've seen me use it before, but it's called Lovely Stripes. It's a 3D embossing folder that gives us these kind of stitched stripes. So they have kind of that dotted stitching on them, and I think they're just beautiful. So you can use it horizontally like we normally would, but this time I actually put it through this way, and we're gonna turn it, and we're actually gonna use it vertical. So we're gonna have those vertical stripes on there. So love that embossing folder. So let's go ahead and add these to our card front here. So I'm just gonna add with my liquid glue here. This one we're just gonna put on the right side here. Just giving ourselves some equal borders there. And then we're gonna take our embossed layer, and you wanna make sure that you use it the right way, because I have used this upside down, which it works that way, but that's the debossed way. And then our dots that are raised is the embossed way. So I'm gonna put my liquid adhesive on the debossed side. And because it's embossing and it's a 3D one, I wanna make sure I get glue in all of those grooves. So I did put a little extra than I normally would. Then we're just gonna line this one up right along, right along that same edge. There we go. If you're part of my Happy Hive team, you get a monthly card from me, and this is the card you're getting this month. So sometimes you guys ask me, how do I make those? Well, here you go. You get all the instructions. Okay, so now we're gonna do some stamping and some heat embossing. So let's start with the inside of our card. Just put that to the side. I'm gonna bring in my Shy Shamrock ink color here, and just a piece of basic white. So that's just gonna be our inside layer. Real simple. And we're gonna take our sentiment, Lucky to Be Friends. This is from that Good Luck set. We're just gonna ink this up in that Shy Shamrock and stamp that right in the center. Okay? Isn't that Shy Shamrock like just the perfect St. Patty's color? Now we're gonna take our 4-leaf clover here, ink that up in our Shy Shamrock. And this one we're gonna stamp right there in the corner. And then we have our little shamrock, very cute little shamrock. And this one we're gonna put up at the top. Okay, we're gonna set this aside. We'll do some heat embossing with that in a moment. I'm just going to bring in my stamp chamois because we're gonna clean this little guy, because we're gonna be using some heat embossing with that, and we don't want it to get green ink in our Versamark, right? Okay, so we're done with our Shy Shamrock ink pad, so we'll close that up, and we're gonna bring in some Secret Sea. Some Secret Sea. I think Secret Sea is like our new neutral, right? It goes with so many colors, and it pairs beautifully with our Shy Shamrock. Now, I already did some die cutting for us with these Stylish Shapes dies. So, you know, they're one of my top list of favorite die sets that we have, because it's basics and they go with everything, right? So we're gonna be using the large label. I've already die cut that out of basic white, and we're gonna be using the large square that I've already die cut out of basic white. Now we're gonna stamp our pot of gold that we're gonna make, right? So our pot is actually going to be stamped in the Secret Sea. So it really is, I heard them say, Stampin' Up said, it's the new neutral, and I totally agree. It's like the new black, right? So we're just gonna go ahead and stamp our pot here in Secret Sea. I'm just making sure all that ink transfers real well, and we'll just lift that up, and we'll set our Secret Sea to the side, because now we're gonna do some heat embossing. Now this pot would be beautiful stamped, right, by itself, but let's just wow it up a bit with some heat embossed gold. I mean, you can't have a pot of gold without some lovely gold, real gold, right? So I'm gonna bring in my heat embossing tools here. So we've got our heat embossing tray, and we've got our Versamark ink, and I've got my gold embossing powder. Now, if you need a little more how-to on heat embossing, check out my how-to series, and there is a heat embossing basics video that I just released that you'll be able to go and check those and, you know, get a little refresher on some heat embossing if you need it. So I've got my Versamark ink here, and I've got my gold for my pot of gold, right? We're gonna ink that up, and I'm gonna stamp this over my pot of gold. So you can do this two ways. Before I stamp that, we can take our embossing buddy and we can go ahead. This is our anti-static tool. We're just gonna go over the whole thing to make sure that we don't have any overages of our embossing powder, right? So that's one way that you can do it. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that down and lift that off. And now I'm gonna bring in my embossing tray and my gold embossing powder. I'm just gonna spoon it over my stamped Versamark gold there and tap this off. Tap it on the edges, tap it from behind. You wanna get all that excess off. I'm gonna take my brush from that embossing toolkit and just kind of go over and make sure there's no little extra flecks of gold powder on there that I don't want. So this is one way where you don't want any of that excess powder. Then I'm gonna use my reverse tweezers that come in that embossing toolkit additions. And I'm gonna hold that so I don't burn my fingers. I'm gonna bring in my heat tool here, and we're gonna go ahead and heat this up. Might be loud for a second. And watch how this gold powder melts and turns into a beautiful pot of real gold, right? Real gold coins on this image. It's just really magic. I know a lot of us fell in love with card making simply for the magic of heat embossing, because it really is wowy. It's almost like a little science experiment, right? When we see that melt, and just look at that beautiful gold, right? It looks like almost real. So that's one way. Now, if we did not use that anti-static tool, that powder, right, our embossing buddy, if we didn't use that before, then we could have left that extra powder on there. And if we left that extra powder on there, we could create, like my sample here. Do you see how I have all that extra on there? So I left that on purpose on my example to show you that you really could do it either way. Where you don't have that on the pot of gold, it kind of looks fun to have all that little gold speckles on there, but sometimes you might not want that, right? Like if on my sentiment especially, I wouldn't want extra gold flecks everywhere, right? Okay, so that's our pot of gold. I'll set that aside, and I'm gonna bring in my banner here. I'm gonna bring back my Versamark ink, and we've got our St. Patrick's Day sentiment. So let's just go ahead and ink this up, and we're gonna stamp this towards the bottom of our banner here. Make sure we get that good and stamped. And I'm gonna move my Versamark out of the way here, and I'm gonna bring back in my little toolkit. I did not mean to put that on top of that. Should be okay. And then we'll hold this. Let's sprinkle our powder on there. Yeah, it was okay. And I'm gonna actually grab my brush again, because there's some extra powder. See, I did not use my embossing buddy, so we have extra flecks all over this that we may or may not want, right? So I'm just gonna use my brush and try to get them best as I can off of there. Okay, so I'll put that to the side. Let me grab those tweezers. Don't want to burn my fingers, right? Bring my heat tool back, turn this on, and let's have a beautiful gold sentiment here. Really just add some wow to our cards. Look at how that's changing. This beautiful gold metallic. I mean, it really ups the game of our card making when we add some of this heat embossing magic to our cards. And I just like to go over it kind of once more just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. But look, do you see that? Do you see that metallic shine? Oh, so beautiful. Okay, let's move out our grid paper here. We can set that down. Sometimes I like to let it sit for a second because it is hot, right? So let's put our finishing touches on. We have one more thing to emboss here, I forgot. Our little guy. So let's bring back in our Versamark and our little guy that we cleaned, and we're gonna overlap this one. So I'm just gonna stamp that down there. Put the lid back on here and bring back in our powder real quick. Add just a little bit there. Make sure we get it all. Tap the excess off. Use our brush. If we have any loose bits here and there. Looks good. And then we'll bring in our heat tool. This is a bigger piece, so I can hold this one. I won't burn my fingers. And I'll just heat this up. And magic! So now even the inside of our card has some gold St. Patty's Day luck, right? Okay, let's put the lid back here and we can do some finishing touches. Now let's bring back our secret C here because I want to put happy above my St. Patty's Day. Got this little happy here and I'm going to use the secret C. And we're just gonna stamp this right in the center. The R of St. Patrick's Day is a good center point. So I just kind of look for that. There you go. And line that up. Beautiful. Okay, now let's finishing touches on this card and we are done. A wow, but simple, right? So let's put this on the inside piece first. So we have Lucky to Be Friends on the inside with some gold embossed magic for our little lucky clover there. Let's just go ahead and center that. So pretty, just that little bitty touch, right, of gold on there is like magic. St. Patty's magic. Okay, then for our front focal pieces here, I have a little piece that I've already cut for us of the gold foil. So this looks real beautiful against that, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and take some Stampin' Dimensionals and we're gonna put those right on the back of this piece that we stamped. And we'll layer that up with our, here's my little bowl of dimensionals. You see, I've been dimensional happy. It just makes it easier to toss them in the trash when you put them in a little bowl, right? So we're just gonna center this on that piece of gold foil and it just kind of really makes our pot of gold pop there with that little bit of gold as a border. And then we'll just add some liquid glue to this and we will put this on there. So I'm just gonna kind of hold this there. We'll pop that up with dimensionals also, but I just lined this up along one of my, that's how I know it's straight, along one of those great embossed stripes, right? So we'll just go ahead and put that on there and then grab a few more dimensionals for the back of our sentiment here. We'll pop this one up. put those little backings right in there. Then they don't end up all over me. Okay, and then we'll put our sentiment right here on top. Just kind of centers over our focal image there. And then our card's so pretty, right? Love that. Love all that gold detail there. Now we need some bling, of course. So to match our DSP that we used here, we've got our 2024-2026 in color flat pearls, and this has the Shy Shamrock. So pretty, right? So that Shy Shamrock we will use, and we're actually going to use all three of the sizes. So we're going to put a large and a medium kind of up here, and we're going to take a small one and we're going to put it in the center of this 4-leaf clover on our pot of gold there. So those work beautifully. So these are also retiring soon, so make sure you get yours if you love them as much as I do. Okay, so we've got our beautiful pot of gold. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Lucky to be friends. This could be a card that we sent to anybody, right? A family member, a friend, just to let them know we're thinking about them. That is the perfect occasion to send any card, right? All right, well, thanks so much for joining me. Have an awesome St. Patty's Day, and send a St. Patty's Day card to someone that you know and love. It will absolutely brighten their day, sending them just a little bit of happy mail, right? Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.